Repeat mode on. Thanks for tuning in. Rok has joined me again to kind of bring a conclusion to this series that we're doing on the Vargas or divisional charts in Vedic astrology. And today, Rok will be discussing about the Parivritti Vargas, which has Navamsa and Saptamsas. And Rok has been working on kind of categorizing the Varga charts into families, and you can find those in the previous videos. And if you have not seen those videos, I think you should go and check those out before watching this. Thanks, Rok, for joining.
Thank you, Aswin.
So yeah, I think we should directly jump into uh, the Parivritti Vargas.
Sure. So you mentioned Navamsa and Saptamsa, and these two are actually the only harmonic or Parivritti Vargas among the Shadvarga or Saptavarga. Although in Shodasha Varga scheme of Parashara, there are other harmonic Vargas up in the higher numbers. So the higher number Vargas. Yeah, I mean, just today I received a book by John Eddy, Harmonic Astrology, and I've read 2 articles by Indian astrologers who have been also thinking about this difference between Varga constructions. And both of them were like pointing out that the way we see Vargas constructed in the medieval texts, in the early medieval texts, that it even might be an error or misunderstanding, and that the Parivritti Vargas were like the original way of constructing a Varga because they are natural. And John Eddy, in his book on harmonics, he's asking himself the same thing, because he's been examining the Indian methods of division, and he saw that, okay, some of the Vargas are harmonic, they follow the natural order, and some are not. And he's also asking this, maybe those divisions were simply misunderstood. It might be, it might not be, because also the non-harmonic divisions, they have their rationale. We can't say that, they are weird or anything, but they are just not harmonic. They are not constructed by dividing the circle, but they have their specific rules. So for today I prepared some diagrams of different harmonics, so we can look at their construction and see a little bit what is going on in these harmonic divisions. So here's the screen, and we can start with the first division, which is basically the second, but the first time we are dividing the circle, the whole zodiac. So I call this H2 or second harmonic, but it's basically a hora, but done with signs in a Parivritti harmonic fashion. So here we have the theme of oppositions, because we see that we have the natural order of the signs repeated twice throughout the zodiac. So we have signs, all the signs are in oppositions. No matter which sign we look at in this division, it's in opposition with itself. So basically, if we would construct the second harmonic chart, a planet in the first 15 degrees of Aries and a planet in the first 15 degrees of Libra would be conjunct, would appear together conjunct in Aries. So this is what these harmonic Vargas really show. They show a specific spatial relationship or geometrical relationship between 2 planets or points in the main chart. So they are like a very interesting method of discovering different kinds of aspects. For example, here for the opposition, I mean, it's not really necessary to look at the second harmonic chart to see if two planets are in opposition, because opposition is very much evident, you know, when we just look at the main chart. But it can, you know, pinpoint it down a little bit and see what kind of opposition it is. You know, is it, you know, an Aries flavored opposition or maybe Taurus flavored opposition? So it has its value, but I think that if we just, you know, overdo it and use all the different harmonic Vargas, you know, it can just quickly become too much, because suddenly we will have 12 or even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here we have opposition and polarity, because we see that in one sign we always have a male and female polarity. The next one, when we divide the circle into 3 parts, is the third harmonic, or the Drekana. So this is the Parivritti Drekana that Somanatha and Krishna Mishra used, and supposedly it's the Drekana that should be used within the Gemini system. And we see here that the natural order of the signs is repeating 3 times. And when we connect these 3 Drekanas of the same sign, we get the perfect equilateral triangle. Yeah. And what we have here is every sign, of course, hosts Drekanas of cardinal fixed dual, cardinal fixed dual, cardinal fixed dual, and it repeats. And every sign starts with cardinal sign. So we have, you know, action cardinality emphasized and fire emphasized, because the order of the signs starts again in fire signs, in the beginning of fire signs. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. So it can be said that it's the Varga of, you know, action, effort, and so on. And it's also interesting that, you know, it's many times considered as a Varga for seeing siblings. And we can see that, you know, here we have connections through the same element also.
No.
You know, it's triplicity.
Yeah. And does the same apply to the Chaldean Drekana as well?
No.
Because
there's the same principle in Parashari Drekana, in triplicity Drekana.
For sure. But in Chaldean, due to the difference in planetary order, I think it's a bit, it's different.
Yeah, no, that one basically, the only rationale there is that it starts with Mars, with the rulership of Mars. It ends with Mars. And Mars is the only planet that is the only planet that rules the first Drekana of its sign in Scorpio. So yeah, Mars is emphasized there, but I have to say that I'm not a big fan of those assignments.
Okay.
They might work, of course, but I just don't kind of gel with it.
Okay.
Yeah, so we see that we have geometrical patterns showing up. And next one will be the fourth harmonic, or Chaturtamsha, Parivritti Chaturtamsha, not to be confused with Parashari Chaturtamsha, which has a different rule. So what we have here, you know, the structure is a square, and we have again Aries, 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 Aries in all 4 cardinal signs. So here we have again cardinal quality, but what's interesting is also that every sign every cardinal sign starts with the cardinal sign and ends with the
Ends
cardinal
with the
sign.
cardinal sign.
Yeah, and every fixed sign starts with fixed, ends with fixed, and every dual sign starts with dual, ends with dual. And also, for example, all fire signs, all the fixed signs, for example, they have the same order. So if you look at Taurus, we have Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. And same here. Same in Leo and same in Scorpio. And the same goes for cardinal and dual signs. You know, the order of the signs repeats. In dual signs, it's the same, as you can see, and in cardinal signs, it's the same. Starts with Aries, ends with Cancer.
Yeah.
So here we have a little bit, I would say, more of confinement. So each modality basically is pretty much confined to itself. It starts with itself, it ends with itself. So while here we also have cardinality and angles emphasized, you know, so it's like action, but it's also, you know, confinement. Okay, sticking to, you know, to the quality of the sign. And this is the fifth harmonic, or Panchamsha, Parivritti Panchamsha, which is completely different than the usual Panchamsha, which is not very common, but that Panchamsha is ruled only by the non-luminaries. So it's 5 portions ruled by non-luminaries. But this one is, you know, the same as before. It's Parivritti, natural order of the signs, repeated 5 times around the circle. And when we connect 5 Panchamshas of the same sign, we get the pentagon. Yeah, so I forgot to mention before, I was mentioning Mars for the Drakana. Yeah, in all the different Drakanas, you know, the theme of Mars is very much present, and the Parivritti Drakana is no exception, because the triangle and number 3 is the geometrical structure and the form of Mars. And then we saw, I'll go back a little bit. Here it's opposition, so here we have Sun, Moon, and basically, you know, we know that the horas are ruled by the Sun and the Moon. So, you know, what's more illustrative of opposition than the relationship of the Sun and the Moon, you know?
Yeah.
The full moon.
For sure.
Yeah. So I'd say, yeah, this is the Varga of the Sun and the Moon. Mars, Drakana is Mars. Here we have somewhat argue against this idea, but this is number 4 square. It's Mercury, because in square we have we get space. We have up, down, left, right. You know, all the dualities possible. All the variegatedness. And here we have pentagon, which is geometrical form of Jupiter, and Jupiter's number is number 5. And I've read that Jaimini in some later chapters, which unfortunately I don't have, says to look at the Panchamsha for fame and power.
Okay.
So, you know, pretty much Jupiterian.
That's actually, I think that's a bit, people will easily associate fame and power through Dashamsa.
Yeah. But you see that, you know, Dashamsha is 2 times 5.
Yeah, for sure. So then that's double fame and double power.
Yeah. I mean, we could say that it's, you know, the Dashamsha is that, you know, that shows what it's really manifested, but this one might be, more of a
Yeah.
potential of it. Because after all, Jupiter as an element in Indian astrology is ether, which precedes all the elements. So
Jiva.
yeah, and here we see that we don't have a very solid pattern that we can track. It's not the order of the signs is not repeating equally, but here we have, okay, it starts with Aries with the first Panchamsha, and here it starts as the third Panchamsha, and here as the last, and here as the second, and here as the fourth. But nevertheless, it at least starts with all the numbers,
Sure.
So here it starts with the first, here with the second, here with the third and fourth and fifth. Yeah, so it really makes you contemplate, okay, what's going on in this Varga. And I like this because the Parivritti Vargas are really sort of a meditative tool. You look at it when it's drawn like this, and you contemplate what's going on. What is the message of this Varga? What is it for? And yeah, well, the geometrical structure and the number of division, when we connect it to planets, can tell us quite a lot about the nature of the Varga. So this is a Jupiter's Varga.
Sure.
So it would make sense, only to look at it for children, which is something that I'm currently exploring.
Good. I think it will be a very interesting area of research, especially because people associate children with Saptamsa. So,
yeah, I mean, and it's not wrong.
Yeah.
As I've also shown in my article. Yeah, but it's not. The Saptamsa can be applied to basically any area of life, because it's showing how much are we able. I'll just switch to Saptamsa now when we're talking about it. Yeah, it's a Varga of Saturn because it holds a septagon, the geometrical pattern of Saturn, number 7. So a good Saturn, I've seen that people who have a good, solid Saturn, they can cope with lack in life. They can accept failures. For example, that's why it's a very important Varga to look for marriage also, for relationships. Because when a planet is there, connected to a well-dignified Saturn, the person will be able to, to make it through, to simply accept the flaws in the other person, and be there, commit to the relationship despite, the factors that might otherwise make him unsatisfied. So say, okay, I accept this. I accept it. I will not, create trouble because of this. I will simply be, humble and persevere. So it's important for commitment. And I've seen that in my article on the Saptamsa. I've shown, demonstrated this through 2 charts of kindergarten teachers. And this is, a job, an occupation that requires very, pretty much,
dedication.
The person to be self-controlled and also to, cope with all the things and to commit, to be responsible. It's a Varga of responsibility. Okay, yeah. I've decided to do this. I've decided to get married. So now I will just, stick to this, despite all the shortcomings. It's like, okay, I will accept the shortcomings of this marriage. Yeah, so it can be applied to children, of course, because who knows what kind of a child you will get, So maybe, the kid is not really according to your ideas. But nevertheless, okay, you say, okay, you know, and maybe they're just making a mess every day, like those there, and you're just, you know, being patient, and you accept the flaws. So good Saturn, yeah, a person can accept that. You know, Saturn in bad condition,
Yeah.
no. They can't commit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I think is
The
glory of Saturn.
unable to fulfill the commitment or responsibility.
Yeah, so the Panchamsha seem to be more about children directly, you know, like really signifying children themselves, but Saptamsha more about how you relate to children and how much we are accepting the responsibility of, you know, if some equate the Saptamsha, the seventh division, to the seventh house, you know, relationships and also sexual intercourse. So children are the product of that. So okay, can you bear the responsibility of your actions, you know? So the outcome of your actions, of your sexual intercourse, are children. So will you accept this responsibility? So I think, I mean, I'm seeing constantly that the Saptamsha is actually, it's very important in these days. And people who are in long-lasting relationships, I'm seeing that they have good Saptamshas.
Okay. So do you use Saptamsha as a standalone chart?
Yeah.
That it is Parivritti.
Okay, this we have to point out. All the Parivritti Vargas, the harmonic Vargas, can be used as separate charts. Yes. Because what we have here, for example, if we look at the Saptamsha, we have a septagon. So if we have a planet in, say, first Saptamsha of Aries and a planet in the second Saptamsha of Virgo, for example, they are both in an Aries Saptamsha, and they both share the same angular relationship, you know, although not quite the same as the first Saptamsha of Aries and the sixth Saptamsha of Taurus. These two planets are, you know, at a different angle than these two. But nevertheless, it's a multiplication of the same angle. So they are part of the same geometric structure, which can be considered, you know, like as one entity. And then in the Saptamsha, you know, this geometrical structure simply, you know, implodes into one point. So all the angular relationship, which are of the same family, so to say, they combine into one point. So yes, in my opinion, and also Jaimini basically quite clearly hints, he's not saying it directly, but hints towards the use of the harmonic Vargas as charts. So it can be done either as a separate chart altogether, nothing wrong with that, and also by layering the divisional chart, or the Saptamsha chart in this case, over the main chart, where the houses remain those of the main chart, but the Saptamsha positions, they are there from the Saptamsha, and you simply look at which houses they fall, and maybe they conjunct some Rashi chart planet and so on. And I've demonstrated this in especially in the Saptamsha article on two charts, so you know, the viewers can get an idea how it looks if we put the two together.
Sure.
With superimposition.
Yeah,
we'll
put the link to that article. We'll put the link to that article.
Yeah, okay.
In the description, so that it will be easier for people to just go and read it.
Sure. Okay, so yeah, in my mind, there's no question. These can be constructed into charts, but they can also be used just as as tables, just to look at dignity.
Huh.
Of course, why not? But I think that their strength is in when they become charts, and they really reveal, micro details.
Yeah, sure.
So here, Saptamsha, again, we don't have really some repeated pattern, because the angle of the seventh division is doesn't fall. It's not really discoverable easily by just looking at the main chart, like we can discover trines and squares. But it's specific. So here again we have just the same Saptamsha. Aries in this example again repeats in signs in the same way as Panchamsha. The first, here we have the sixth, here we have the fourth, and so on. So it falls in all the 7 positions in the signs. But there's no, it's not very clear. You really have to think about it. But again, the geometrical structure, the geometrical form of Saturn can tell a lot about it. And here we have a similar thing, that the modalities are confined. So again, cardinal signs start and end with cardinal, and so on.
Yeah.
Fixed start and end with fixed, and so on. So it's like, okay, sticking to what you've initiated, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Navamsa.
Yeah, then the Navamsa. The Navamsa, the most famous one. Here we have the nonagon, and number 9, which is the form and number of Ketu. So it's no wonder that the Navamsa is looked for, the inner things, what's not so
Explicit.
explicit. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Thanks. Yeah, so it's the Varga of Ketu. And also cardinality is very important here, because we see that here every sign starts with a cardinal sign, right?
Mm.
So it's action, but we can say it's how we are internally linked with our actions, and how we are internally linked with our path that we're walking on, and we are, making actions on this path. So yeah, we can say Dharma can be also considered, of course. But so much has been, said, written on the Navamsa, that maybe, we don't invent hot water or reinvent the wheel or whatever. So yeah, this was a surprise, because usually we read, the Navamsa is for marriage, for spouse. And this was like, a little bit weird to me, because I more easily connect the Saptamsha to look for marriage than the Navamsa. It's understood that, especially in the context of Indian culture, marriage, it's like important link to Dharma, and
Yeah.
but I kind of see that it best answers spiritual matters.
Yeah, Navamsa, I think I tend to kind of use it for spiritual matters, and also as a part of dignity, because I the base outline of the construction of Navamsa comes from the Nakshatra Padas, and so I think the Nakshatra Padas are actually a symbolic indication of a planet's particular dignity. So I tend to use Navamsa as a major dignity portion, and I don't use it as a standalone chart, but it's not that it can't be used or people don't use it. Navamsa is one of the most famous standalone charts apart from the Rashi chart in Vedic astrology. So I think it depends upon how people want to use it and the philosophy behind the usage of the Navamsa chart according to their own perspectives.
What your grandfather is an astrologer, right?
Yeah, my grandfather uses Navamsa as a dignity. I mean, so let's say Ashlesha 3 falls in Aquarius. So, um, how does a particular planet? So, let's say Jupiter is in Ashlesha 3. So, Jupiter is exalted in the Rashi chart, and in Navamsa, it's placed in Aquarius. So, in Ashlesha 2, it's debilitated in Capricorn. So that's how we use it. So when Jupiter is placed in Ashlesha 2 and is exalted in Rashi chart, but at the same time it's debilitated in the Navamsa chart. So how does the difference of manifestation of a particular position of Jupiter kind of place in a native's life is what we have to analyze. Maybe the native will have a lot of Jupiterian traits, but will probably be will find it very difficult to express it to the external world because of its debilitation in the Navamsa chart. So I think that's how I view Navamsa at this point of time,
Okay.
and it's I think it has worked best for me. And this is a system that my family has been using for I think around 80 to 90 years.
Cool. Yeah, so we've looked at a few. I mean, the Parivritti Vargas are endless. It's just, the harmonics can go on, and
Yeah.
they don't stop at Navamsa. They just, you can because you can divide a circle, infinitely, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've even read today that there was some old technique for time rectification that utilized the Dvadasamshas of the Dvadasamshas.
Oh.
You know, the
Siddhamsa?
prana. No, the prana Dvadasamsha.
Prana Dvadashamsa. Okay.
Yeah, it's specific. I'm not sure from which tradition it comes, but John Eddy mentions it in his book. And yeah, basically that's also possible because after all, in each division we get another sign, and that sign can also be divided.
Yeah, sure.
So every Dvadasamsha can be further divided into Dvadasamshas. So this stuff is endless. It's just a matter of question where do we stop? Because we have to stop somewhere, unless we are like superhumans, being able to figure out all these micro worlds within micro worlds. And yeah, this is basically another family, which is huge. So here I just included the main ones.
Oh. I saw this. I think this is part of your article as well.
Yeah, it is. I wanted to do it because it shows how with the natural order we don't have so many Vargotama points as we do with in the Dvadasamsha family, for example. Because in Dvadasamsha family, as we've shown, the Vargas that are lower than Dvadasamsha are constructed according to the same rules. So you really have some signs aligning, many times. So a planet in a particular degree will be Vargotama, in 3 Vargas. But here with the Parivrittis, everything is a little bit more, at the first glance, a little bit more chaotic. It's not so, artificially created so that it aligns perfectly, but we get fewer such points. So what we have here, we have Drekana, Chaturtamsa, Panchamsa, Saptamsa, and Navamsa. Yeah. Right. So yeah, the viewers can go to my webpage, and they can download these images. Contemplate themselves. Maybe someone discovers something I haven't. I mean,
Yeah.
surely I haven't discovered anything. I'm barely getting an idea of what is going on, so I'm just scratching the surface, I believe. Yeah, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to show also. Saravali of Kalyana Varma, here he explains in the first chapter, third chapter, verse 18. First he discusses different Vargas, he gives Saptavarga, the commonly known non-harmonic divisions. But then he says different Vargas. To know any kind of Varga, Hora, Navamsa, and Rekana, etc., adopt the following method. Convert the longitude into minutes of arc and multiply by the Varga figure concerned. Divide the product by 1800, and the resultant figure will reveal the required Varga. This is the formula for calculating the Parivritti Vargas. So he's giving this formula next to the ordinary commonly used Vargas, which is very interesting because it appears that he's been using them, but he doesn't mention them anywhere in the text later. So he basically just gives the calculation, but doesn't really say what they are meant for, how to use them, but nevertheless it's there. So we have Kalyana Varma presenting them. We have Jaimini supposedly used only Parivritti Vargas, mainly Drekana and Navamsa and Panchamsa for fame and power. Some say also that he used also other Vargas, but that still I kind of can't confirm.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to say that I flow more with the harmonic Vargas. I basically don't use the non-harmonics anymore because I see more rational in the harmonic divisions. They provide more material for me to think about. I like that I'm able to construct a chart because from non-harmonic Vargas, no, I don't think that we can construct charts from that because we have absolutely no spatial geometrical relationship indicated. So those are just for assessing dignity, just to see the ruler, and that's it, nothing more. But the harmonic Vargas are deeper. They, many things can be done with them.
Sure. When there is a specific mathematical sequence that is being followed, and if you can use it as a standalone chart, I think it's very crucial.
Yeah, but we should not make mistake to use it entirely separate from the main chart.
Yeah, superimposition.
Yeah, I mean, we can read it separately, but always we have to keep in mind, the main indications from the main chart, because I've seen people, trying to prove, by reverse engineering various charts of famous people. They've been trying to, to prove anything, to justify anything in the Varga charts. But I always say, hey, first it has to be indicated in the main chart. If it's not indicated in the main chart, even if it's super indicated in the Navamsa, forget it. It's not there. It has to be first there in the main chart. I think this is an important, unwritten law. Because otherwise, anyone can justify anything in Vargas.
I mean, it's easier to kind of justify with a celebrity chart because we don't necessarily construct the dots, but we just look to connect the dots.
Yeah.
That is generally
I hate that. Because also the problem is that when we look at charts of celebrities, that's the only idea we have, what they are famous for, we have only, a very limited idea about who this person is. So we're looking at that chart only through these lenses. And I don't think it's good. I mean, it has to be done, of course, sometimes, but I actually prefer to test my techniques on charts of people who I know, so I have more information about their lives. I know how they think, I know how they act, and also on charts of my clients, because really I know these charts far more, and I know more about the lives of these people than we know about the lives of celebrities.
Sure.
I mean, we know about one very, vivid, highly manifested part of their lives, but many things are also very hidden.
Yeah, not public. Yes, for sure. Okay.
Yeah, the kids.
That's good. I think every household is like that. So cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have something more to share, or
I don't know. Do you have?
no? I don't think so. Maybe you can just close the screen share, and people can watch our beautiful faces for the last time in the series.
Yeah.
So, I think over the past 2 months or so, I have had a lot of realizations with this particular concept that you introduced to me. So, and I think it's a long way to kind of explore where, at least I'm in the very beginning of what I'm doing. So we'll see how it goes, and probably this will be an eye opener, at least to me. And
I mean, just to be clear, I'm also, as I said, I'm barely scratching the surface here, and many things are not clear to me. It's a very mysterious topic, really. But I just want to understand it, and I'm digging into it. So maybe my little research will bring something valuable to someone, hopefully.
Yeah, this is going to be here forever, this series, and I just hope that people will kind of start getting into it or trying to understand the construction behind it. Just like I became intrigued about the concept of harmonic and non-harmonic Vargas.
Yeah, I mean, it will be interesting to look back at all these, in 20 years. To see how much I will agree with what I'm saying now. But
again, times change, perspectives change, and we keep learning, and learning never stops. So maybe we'll argue against ourselves another 20 years.
Yeah,
but
it's possible.
Yeah, so that remains to be seen, and So until then, until we get back with another series of videos, I think it's bye-bye.
Yeah, okay, I just want, I almost forgot about this. I just want to show this. I'll share the screen again.
Okay.
Where is it? Where are we? No. Okay. I will just show, because in the last episode I kind of promised I will put blank charts here.
Yeah.
So you can visit my webpage, and here is the article Blank Charts for Varga Techniques. So I've drawn 3 different types of charts. So here we have South Indian square chart with places for 2 Vargas to be drawn around it. So if your software is not allowing you to superimpose the Varga on the main chart, here you can do it by hand. It's fun. It's really fun. And here you have some place for notes. Here is the North Indian diamond chart. Unfortunately, the design, the geometrical design of this chart doesn't allow much space for 2 Vargas around it, so I left it for 1. And also, if somebody is using the old Hellenistic square chart, yeah, it's also here.
Good.
So you can just download it, click download, and you get the PDF, print it, and have fun.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rok.
Thank you, Aswin.